Okay, so just want to do a quick demo of how I've got my palette case set up here. So it's quite small. You have to be very focused on what you've got. And basically, I've got one oscillator, a load of modulation, some effects, and a mixer. Steppy here doing gate sequencing. And that's pretty much it. What I've found in the past is you can try and put too many oscillators in. You end up with so many voices, you don't know what to do with them. So I just want to focus on one voice and all the different modulations that I've come pretty much to use for every patch, even in this small case. So just running through it. Got Basimilus, great oscillator, lots of modulation points. Mimetic Digitalis, this is providing pitch sequencing as well as various modulation points into Basimilus. Diaz. Now this is a really good companion module with Mimetic. I actually find myself using it even more because, I mean, you can modulate, I tend to modulate filter and using the uni, but then there's also this BIA output as well. So you've got two different modulation points and basically you end up with stepped voltage. So rather than be random, you've got these quite nice kind of LFO effects. So I'll come back to that in a minute. But from the other side, the voice goes out through a second envelope, which I'll come back to in a minute. And because this is a digital filter, it can sound quite harsh. So I always send it through a filter. There's a carbon filter here. Out through a reverb into a mixer. So what I'll do is just build it up slowly. We'll start with just the oscillator and then we'll slowly start adding other modules in. The only one that I haven't mentioned here is U-scale. So Mimetic is great for providing random voltages, but if you want to make anything musical that's in the Western scale, you pretty much need a quantizer to go with it. So let's start with just some output. Oh, by the way, what you can see coming in from off screen, I've got 4 outputs here, which are going out to ES9. So that's pretty much just going out to the sound card, which has been mixed in Ableton. And down here, this is just, you've got a drum track here for bass drum, hi-hats, which are being sequenced out of shot, but it's just bass drum and hi-hats. Can't fit everything in here, right? And then what's going on here is clock is being provided in from Westlit Performer, which is just off screen, and also the reset. So I can just trigger and it will reset Steppy and everything will stay in sync. So on channel 3, you've got a kick drum, and channel 4, some hats. And that's just a simple sequence off. But everything else is in here. There's no external effects, there's no filters, nothing other than probably a little bit of compression from Ableton when I've finished. So let's start with straight output from Basimilus. So let's just reset everything here. So get a pretty standard sound out. So let's see what this sounds like. Just hit it, see what it sounds like. It's a bit low, so let's just turn it up. Okay, so let's now trigger that. We'll trigger that on track 1. Just got a random sequence set here, so let's trigger that. So lots of variation with Basimilus here if we start messing with these. Start thinking about the sorts of modulations we want. And then do some harmonics later. But let's turn all that down for now. Let's start with something about here. That'll do. Okay, so that's the raw sound coming out of Basimilus. What I'm going to do now is just send it through a second envelope. So you can see the decay here. Let's keep that fairly short. And then if I send it through this envelope, that'll do. So we'll send the gate out from step E into the gate of the envelope. The output will go into channel 1, and then let's move that to the input. See, that's still really harsh. So let's filter. Let's put that through a low pass filter so that when we start modulating these, it's less harsh. I mean, if I turn the attack down, Basimilus has got like a hat, it's a noise on the attack. And when that's not filtered, it's really harsh. So let's turn that off for now. So we've got the output going through Javelin, goes out, so then we'll take the output, move that output to the low pass, move that output to the input, and then the low pass output. There we go, we've got a bit of resonance. That'll do, yeah, we'll stick with that. Now when we start messing with this, it's nowhere near as harsh. Okay, we've got a basic beat going through external envelope through the filter. So now let's send it through a reverb. Totally transform the sound. Right. We'll start modulating this afterwards. Okay, so the output from the low pass now needs to go into the left channel here. There we go. Sounds different already. Start modulating this, see what happens. Yeah, that's a good start. Now, this is a mono output, so you've got stereo outputs from the reverb. So what I'm going to do is just take a high pass filter, put that into the right channel, and then if we send that into channel 2, let's turn up channel 2. Should get something. Adds a little bit at the top. We get this nice stereo effect. So if I turn that off, it's just the low pass filter. Add in the high pass. Just a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's a good start. Right, let's add a beat and just make this a little bit more interesting. Okay, just using this as a mixer, but just to show the difference between a mixer and a VCA, you can modulate the volume on a VCA. So, seeing as we've got an envelope out here from Javelin, I can send that envelope into the hats and we can see if we can get a bit of volume. So I'm just going to turn this down in case it goes a bit too loud. A bit of volume. Just adds a little bit of variation. Always good. Okay, that's something basic. So we've gone right to left. We've got an output. So let's start modulating now. Let's make this a bit more interesting. So first of all, we're going to clock clep. The right size cable. It's going to take a standard clock. So at the moment, nothing's happening because I don't have any steps selected. So if I just press, at the moment they're off, but this provides an on-off your current step selection. So if I press this, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, and you can see we've got this variable outage coming here. So if we send that into something like the morph here, we're going to get something a little bit more interesting, so let's try that. See, totally transforms the sound. Switch it off. Okay, let's go for some filter modulation now. So you can modulate the filter here, and then this will say how much and whether we're positive or negative. So I'm going to send another output from step into here, and then we'll just, so this will give us a little bit of sort of up and down on positive side, so it should give us something like that. Okay, right, let's go for something a bit more harmonic. So we'll take some pitch out of Mimetic, just some random pitch that I've already set up. Send it through the quantizer and into the pitch. first of all, we need to clock it. So I'm just going to clock into the X here. So this will just move us in the horizontal scale. So we'll end up with 4 steps. So the good thing about Mimetic is if you go into N, you get 16 steps. You go into X, you only get 4, and it stays on the current row. So if you advance Y, you can go through different sequences of 4. And then the same if you go into Y, you can go vertically. Okay, I've got my pitch coming out of 4, and I'll explain why in a minute. Now, the good thing about Mimetic is you just basically click the shred and it gives you random output. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. The beauty of it is you can randomize across the entire octave range, which will give you something for pitch, that will give you something horrific like this. Now that's great if you're modulating basically anything that's non-pitch, but pitch is far too extreme. So if you click load 0 and shred, it just gives you 2 octaves. Now that doesn't sound too great, but it does just give you random notes. There's nothing in any particular scale. So let's go into the quantizer. Let's send that into the pitch. You can't really tell what's going on there because the notes are too similar. We don't have enough harmonic effects. I'm just going to turn this up. So let's just randomize again. Nope, don't like that. Not bad as a second chord, so let's save that in slot 2. Okay, so next modulation, I want to modulate the attack. So and a little bit of noise occasionally. I want something like this. Let's try going out of 1. So Basimilus, yes, it has an attack and a decay, so a very basic envelope. If you reduce the attack, you get this noise on the hit. Delay is fine, decay is fine, because you can extend quite nicely. But the reason I'm going through Javelin is because I can really tighten up that filter. Sorry, really tighten up that envelope output without ruining the sound on here. And that's basically it. So, one oscillator, plenty of modulation, pitch quantizer, so we stay in the Western scale, envelope, filter, reverb, mixer. Don't use the output down here because I'm going through ES9 straight into Ableton. Very rarely use this either. So if I'm using Ableton to control master clock, then I'll probably run it through here. But not really using Ableton at the minute. So I think I've only used this like 2 or 3 times. So if you've got an external sound card you're sending your outputs into, you don't really need these in the palette case. Steppy, absolute godsend. USB, just taking up space. Use it for a LED strip light when it's dark. But yeah, Steppy is my most used module. Absolutely love that. Mimetic and Clep together, that is key for modulation. Javelin and Carbon, you've got a really, really flexible envelope and a filter in such a small package. It's great. I mean, this VCA is taking up a lot of space. You get a much smaller VCA. And reverb. What system's complete without a reverb? Let's turn it up to And that's it. Hope you've enjoyed this video. It's the first video I've done. Just recorded it in one take. Need to learn to do these videos a little bit better in future. But I'm going to do some videos on the Mimetic because so many people have asked about this module. It's so powerful, but it's really difficult to get your head around in the first day that you have it. Once you have, it just creates music for you all by itself. So definitely recommend that module. So yeah, next video, Mimetic. Also possibly one, I'll replace this and put Manus Terrasas in here because Manus is a little bit more flexible. It's a little bit more hardcore, but it is more flexible and it's got its own filter built in, so yeah, you can run this without a filter. Okay, thanks for watching.